To understand Islam and the Muslim world more, buy my book, The Curse of God, Why I Left Islam. Available in all your favorite online bookstores. Hi guys, this is Harris Sultan, the ex-Muslim atheist, and welcome to another episode of Sultan's House of Sin. Farhana, how are you?
Good morning, Harris, and good evening to everyone, all your audience, wherever they might be.
Your camera's not on today.
Because I just woke up and I'm having my cup of coffee and I still have fuzzy teeth.
Right, fair enough.
Sorry.
All right, fair enough. Now, as I was telling the audience that you are one of my patrons, and by the way, if you guys do become a patron, well, there are different levels of your patronage. The different levels of your patronage. There's one where you can actually get a signed copy of my book. So do check it out. But anyway, so I did send you a book. Have you been going through it? Have you read any of my book, or do you have anything to say on that?
I absolutely have, but I just wanted to say thank you for all the work you do, and it's my pleasure to be a patron. And I think everybody should get a copy of that book and read it. It's amazing, written beautifully. Lots of research, so a really good job. It's a good book to read, and I would highly recommend people get a copy. So I think you're doing a tremendous job. You're helping Pakistan a lot, and I think a lot of people don't realize the amount of effort you put into. I've been watching your shows, and I think you put in a lot of effort, and it takes a lot of courage to do what you're doing. So really good for you. I'm so proud of you.
Well, thank you. No, thank you very much. I mean, I obviously couldn't keep going if I didn't have support of people like you. I reckon every bit is worth it, because what I do is highly critical of Pakistan and obviously Islam. I mean, I don't care about Islam at all, but I do care about Pakistan. I do care about Pakistan in a sense that every time when I go, not only Australia is obviously is my home now, probably my primary home. But when I go to other countries, I just wonder, if you go to Italy, if you go to some other Eastern European country, and then you go, wow, these guys have done something, they've done so well for their countries. Why can't we do that with Pakistan? I mean, why is Pakistan so backward? Why? And then you realize it's not just the corruption. It's actually it's the actual attitude of people. It is the people. When we have people like the guys that I just showed you, I mean, where people are so dogmatic about their religion, they're so dogmatic about their beliefs, they don't care about human rights, they don't care about individual freedoms. What else are you going to get? Of course, you're going to get a shithole of a country like that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I wanted to talk a little bit about freedom. And I think what the problem with Pakistan is that they don't understand what freedom actually is. Freedom doesn't mean, that you lose your values. Freedom means that it's important because, freedom is a condition in which you can have the opportunity to grow and think and speak and act and pursue happiness. And I think countries where you don't, like, just this beard trimming thing, I'm just shocked. Like, really? Men can't decide in Pakistan how to trim their beard? We need the government to tell them how to trim their beard? This is just ridiculous. Like, the world is moving forward and we're stuck in Pakistan telling men how to trim their beard.
Yeah.
It just does not make sense to me. Like, honestly, I listened to some of the stuff that's going on in Pakistan, and I cringe because it's so backward, and our society isn't moving forward because they don't have any value for freedom or justice or equality, and these things are essential for citizens to understand so that their society can progress and become a better society where people have respect for each other. There's absolutely zero respect for individuals and for groups or any thought. I don't understand what happened to Pakistan. My parents tell me the same thing, that Pakistan was actually a very good country. People had freedom in the old days, and when Pakistan became Pakistan, it wasn't as it is right now. And you're right, it has become a shithole, and people don't realize it in Pakistan. So I don't know where this is going to end up and how it's going to end up.
Well, I think obviously this was bound to happen, because I understand it now when Indians used to say that, oh, this is a confused nation. When Nehru and Gandhi believed initially that Pakistan won't survive long because they believed that the very foundations of Pakistan are very shaky. I mean, I'll give you an anecdotal experience. I mean, when I first met my partner, right, I told
Okay.
her, I just gave her a bit of introduction on the history of Pakistan, how Pakistan came into being, and here I am from a Pakistani angle. I'm actually, being sympathetic and telling it from the Pakistanis' point of view, and obviously influenced by Pakistani propaganda. And I'm telling her that, oh, so based on that, we divided the country, and she was like, that's not a good reason to divide a country or to divide people over religion. And then I was like, I got angry with her because I wanted her to say, oh, yes, okay, great history you've got, yay. But then obviously I didn't buy it at that. I didn't understand it. But then obviously as I matured enough, I realized, fair enough, I've said it before that at the time when Mr. Jinnah made Pakistan, he genuinely believed that Muslims will not be treated good in India, in United India. So that's why he created Pakistan. But in the long term, this is what hindsight tells you, right? It turned out to be a bad decision because so what did we end up achieving? Nothing at all, other than a semi decent cricket team and a nuclear bomb.
Yeah,
we,
I
we,
agree.
we haven't achieved anything. It was bound to happen because initially, yes, they were still influenced by Hindu culture. They were still influenced by some Anglo-Saxon culture. That's why your parents and our parents, they grew up in a rather free time. In the 50s and 60s and 70s, it was good time. But after that, Pakistan was bound to become a Muslim country. This Islamization was bound to enter the roots of Pakistan because those were the very foundations of Pakistan, and that's what happened. It ended up becoming Islamized, but it still have some people who grew up in the 50s and 60s. That's why it hasn't gone fully radical. But it's hanging by a thread. It can become more radicalized, or it might become more liberal. So it's only time will tell, I guess.
So I would like to say this Huma Yunus case. I'd like
Right.
to say that it's an individual case, but if you really look about and think about it and try to understand what has happened and what's happening with minorities there, it's not any different than what Boko Haram has done in Nigeria. Is that the route we want to go? Like, is that the kind of society, lawlessness, society, thuggery, kind of a society that we want to go in? This makes no sense to me at all. Like, you want to take these she's 14. What does a 14-year-old have to do with religion? Like, leave the kids alone, leave the kids out of this. You have a problem with your religion, go figure it out, but leave the kids out of it. When I read about Huma, I was so shocked, and I'm shocked every day when I listen to this kind of news coming from Pakistan. And I've started sharing this news here in Canada with people, and people are shocked. My Canadian friends are shocked when they see this kind of news. They wonder what kind of a barbaric country Pakistan is. And I think Pakistan needs to listen up and start changing some of the things that are going on there. Their government needs to smarten up. Their government needs to put in laws that are going to prohibit this kind of behavior and tolerate the immigrants. Imagine if this was happening in a Western country to a Muslim girl. Nobody would
Oh yeah.
tolerate that. Nobody would do that. First of all, nobody would do that because freedom is essential here, and we respect freedom and we love freedom. And without freedom, there's no creativity. But in Pakistan, this is barbaric behavior, and the government needs to do something about this. I write about this and I on my story, and I get a lot of people responding to me and saying, you're very bold, you're doing this in Canada, and I'm proud to do it. And actually, I hadn't started doing it till I met you, but after I met you or started watching your YouTube videos, I realized that you don't need a whole army, you need a few good men for a
Yeah.
good cause, right? So everybody should get involved and do the right thing. If people are not getting involved, they're not being responsible. You have to take Everybody has to take some responsibility and do the right thing. So very sad what's happening with the girls.
I'm not sure how familiar you are with this issue, but this wasn't, as I said, it wasn't just an isolated incident. I mean, Hindu girls, I think the statistics are something like 1,000 girls a year in the province of Sindh get kidnapped. These Hindu girls get kidnapped and converted to Islam. 1,000 girls a year. I mean, that's a huge number. I mean, this Huma Yunus, it's just one girl that we found out about somehow. Most of them don't get reported. You know, most of these people don't have access to media or anything, and they just one of the biggest things is I still reckon. I mean, I always credit people's humanity. I always believe that there is some humanity, even if you are a hardcore Muslim. Actually, no, not a hardcore Muslim. If you're just a moderate Pakistani Muslim. I believe there's some humanity left in them. This is the reason why when they deny that, most of the Pakistanis I show these things to, they actually deny that. They live in denial. They say, no, this can't happen. So that tells me that it's not acceptable to them either. So they're also not willing to accept it. So that's okay. That can be changed if we actually keep showing it to them. Then that can change. Then we can hear people. Feminist movement is a great one in Pakistan. It's growing up. Transgender movement is gaining momentum in Pakistan. And believe it or not, the atheist movement is also gaining traction in Pakistan. I reckon atheists are growing more rapidly in Pakistan than any other movement. But they're just not speaking up openly because we just haven't reached that threshold yet. We just haven't reached that point. We are seeing that ordinary young Muslim apologists, they are trying to come and have a discussion with atheists, which, you know, we're quite happy to do it. It's just a matter of time that we have to keep doing it. And then, you know, I hope people will start seeing it. Well, last word.
I have been able to speak to a lot of young Pakistani men. And I often ask them, I said, if I had a problem like that in my country here, we'd be out and we'd be asking questions in a peaceful way and our government would listen. Why don't you speak up? My question is always to them, why don't you speak up? Their response, and this is from multiple people again and again, mostly young men, their response is usually that if we speak up, we are going to be persecuted. We are going to be charged with blasphemy. We're going to be put behind bars or we will be killed. We just can't speak out. I think the tipping point is coming. I think it's going to happen where people are going to say enough is enough. It's time to take some action. And, you know, freedom isn't free. You got to fight for it. If you want freedom in Pakistan, you're going to have to fight for it. No country on this planet got freedom for free. There was always some kind of a revolution, whether it was a quiet one or not. I mean, you can look at the American history. You can look at European history. You will know that freedom was always won. So if Pakistanis want to change their life, they have to stand up and speak. And governments are going to come and governments are going to go. And I don't think the Pakistani government actually has any power. It's the military and the mullahs that are running the country, and it's not working for them so far. So I think fundamental changes need to take place. People need to be more involved. I mean, that's what democracy is. Democracy is when you start getting involved, getting educated. That is your job as a citizen, to be participating. So I think in Pakistan, people are not participating. They just go and vote for whoever they're told to vote for.
Right.
And that kind of a system can't be sustained and it can't last.
Right. Well, thank you very much for coming down. And yeah, I totally agree with you. And yeah, thank you very much for your support.
Okay. Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you, Farhana. See you. Bye-bye. To help me produce more videos like these, support me on Patreon or PayPal.